I've never had the world's biggest arms, but in the past few years, my arms have grown a lot. I fell in love with training when I was 19 and I kept training and training and training, so much so that I even went into study physiotherapy and now I'm a physiotherapist. And believe me, since understanding the anatomy and everything about muscle contractions and muscle growth, my arms have grown a lot more. And in this video, I'm gonna share my best tips and tricks with you so that you can grow your arms. We'll be covering the biceps, the triceps, and two other muscles that are vital for making your arms look absolutely massive. Step one is understanding that when you don't have a pump, if you're a natty, your arms are not gonna look good. You're not gonna have that vascularity, but just wait a few minutes. When we get into it, you're gonna see my arms completely transform in a matter of minutes. So this is before pump. And we'll have a look after. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I did when I first started lifting is not lifting heavy enough. So tip number one, real tip number one, for growing your biceps is start off with a heavy lift. Now for me, I absolutely love a standing barbell curl. Control the weight up and down, try not to sway too much. And then when you reach that point of failure where you can't lift this, so this is 40 kilos total, strict form as possible, do some partials, and then actually cheat it up and go down slow. This load for the biceps is absolutely incredible. And you will definitely feel it after set number one. Now there's no magical sets, reps, anything like that. Basically, work your muscles hard, and if you're training within 5 and 30 reps, you're gonna grow. But let's be real, no one's got time to spend 30 reps for 4 sets. We know the more volume, the better. So my recommendation would be anywhere with 4 sets or even 5 sets, 8 reps. If you get more than 8, go heavier. If you get less than 6, go lighter. I don't personally mind if you wanna change your barbell curl to your easy barbell curl or easy bar curl, as long as we're doing that heavy compound, especially if your wrists take a bit of pressure. So if you're feeling the barbell curl hurting the wrists, swap it out and just replace that exercise with your easy bar curls. And now we're starting to see a pump. So finally we're getting some vascularity in the arms, and that just feels insane. When you look in the mirror and see that vascularity, it's just next level. The biggest mistake I see in people's programs when it comes to bicep training is they do not understand the function of the biceps. Now we all know the biceps bend the arm, right? Or they bend the elbow, flex the elbow. That is not all they do. There's 2 other things that you need to know. Number one, they supinate the wrist, so they turn your palm upwards, especially the long head. You can look at my bicep there. If I turn my palm down, it lengthens. And then if I turn my palm up, it shortens. My arm position hasn't changed, but yet we've got difference in the bicep, and then it also flexes the shoulder. So when we're in that contracted position, you can let your elbows drift forward a bit. The secret here is don't start off by throwing your elbows, because then it's basically a front delt raise. But if you get up and then you come forward, you will get a greater squeeze of the bicep. Exercise number 2, and again, it comes down to anatomy here. I want to hit my long head. So I always start off with a heavy compound, and then I go into the long head of biceps work. So for this, there's one thing you need to know. A, we want to include our supination because it's the long head that does the supination. And B, we want our elbows behind the body. So from this position, I'm going to do my hammer curls. Again, going fairly heavy. I've got 12 kilos here. And we want to go for that sort of 8 to 10 rep range again. Allowing the wrists to supinate and controlling the way down. Now you don't have to go super slow on the way down, but you also don't just want to drop the weights like that, because then you're missing out on gains and wasting time. So I would say if you go between 1 and 3 seconds on the way down, you'll definitely feel your arms, and I mean, mine are absolutely burning now. Try keep your head back and chest open, and for this one you can do partials. The burn on that one's insane, and you should feel the burn on the outside, so the long head of the biceps, not so much on the inside. If you want to pick one bicep exercise to do, this is the one in my opinion. This is the exercise I need the most, because the long head does not work as much in all your back movements as the short head, especially not your chin-ups or anything like that. Your elbow has to be behind your body. The next exercise I'm going for is the preacher curl. Now my gym does not have a preacher curl machine, but if yours doesn't, use a bench, set it up like this, You want it roughly on a 45-degree angle. The lower down you take your bench, the more stretch biased the exercise becomes. Now, another important key to getting better muscles is knowing strength curves. Your normal dumbbell curls are not shortened position bias like many people say. They are biased to the mid position. Now what that means, easy at the bottom, difficult when you reach 90 degrees to gravity, and then easy at the top. If you want to tell an exercise, stop in the range and feel which section's the hardest. So the bottom, that's easy. Mid portion, muscles working hard. Short portion, easy. Again, because there's no real lever force on it. Now when it comes to this, now when we are 90 degrees to the ground, we are in the stretch portion of the rep. When we're up at the top, it almost pulls back. So you don't want to go all the way up with this because now it's actually helping the biceps out and there's a load on the triceps. So I pick the smallest weight so I can get the most range of movement. Don't go crazy in this one. You don't want to tear a bicep. And if you are worried, if you're on PEDs, don't go all the way straight. If you're natural, you should be fine. And then we're curling up, and the best part about this exercise, so for me, this weight's a bit lighter, but I can get more range of movement, so I do higher rep ranges. I'll be in that 12 rep range. And then when you reach that point of failure, so we're pushing until the body starts shaking. Oh, and then you can do some partials. Then you actually take your other hand, help it up, and then you just do your eccentrics. So, what is the difference between this and the incline curl we've just done? If you've watched my channel, I hope you can answer it, but if not, don't worry, I got you. This exercise is hitting the short head of the bicep, so the inside portion. The other is hitting the long head, so your peak. So this is going to give the biceps that width. Oh. Now, why is that? It comes down to anatomy. So your short head, right, it touches down there below the elbow so you can bend it. You can feel the biceps tendon, runs along the inside and attaches to the front of the shoulder. Your long head actually wraps around, this is why it's called the long head, because it's longer, almost loops around and attaches to the back. So what this means is if we bring our arms forward, we're taking the stretch off of the long head, which means the short head's going to be under more tension, therefore doing more work. When our arms go behind the body, the short head doesn't change much, but the long head is now under the tension, so therefore the long head's gonna work. So we can do exercises like the lying incline curl, we can do drag curls. There's so many variations, and if you want to see all the variations of these exercises, I'll tag a video at the end of this one that you can watch and it'll show you unlimited options, but these are my go-tos. Now, I spoke about two other muscles. This is the first one. This is brachialis. Now, will your biceps be working in this movement? Yes. Will this also hit your forearms? Yes. This is your hammer curl. Now, I don't mind if you want to use a cable or if you want to use dumbbells. There's not much difference there. Both have very, very similar strength curves. Again, 90 degrees to the cable, a lot more than 90 degrees. A lot less than 90 degrees, so 90 degrees is going to be the hardest, but it doesn't really matter for this one, as long as we're pushing it till failure, and that is difficult. This muscle sits just underneath the long head of the biceps, and you'll only see it if you're mind-blowingly shredded. Sometimes even then you can't see it, depending on your muscle insertions. So what it does is it pushes up the peak of the biceps, so the peak then therefore looks bigger. So does it help make the biceps bigger? No. Does it make them look bigger? Hell yes, and that's why we're gonna train it, and that's why we're gonna train it hard. So option 2, your dumbbell variant. Now I absolutely love this, and you can go really heavy with this. A lot of people will wanna do reverse curls where you point your palms down. Now that is fine, but that is really gonna hit the muscles in your forearm and not the brachialis, where we wanna hit the brachialis because that's gonna make the biceps look bigger. And again, you can just push it to failure, then partials, and you should feel this outside portion of the arm really light up with these. Yes, you'll feel some forearms. Yes, you'll feel some bicep, but this little outside portion down there should really be kicking off. Now, I know you expected me to talk about the Bayesian curl, the Jeff Nippert favorite, but I'm not going to. I do not recommend that exercise for me. I don't like it. Personally, all I feel is my front delt limiting, and it just wants to cheat the movement. Number two, we know the stretch portion is not that key, so why train it? And let's be real, the biggest people in the world, they've been using dumbbells for years. Why? Because dumbbell strength curve matches the muscle strength curve. So you've got basically your muscle contraction works with overlapping fibers. You've got your actin and your myosin. They've got little hooks in it that when they connect and they pull in. So they start off out there. You see between my hands, very little surface area. That's your stretch. Therefore, there's not much strength. Then we get to the mid portion. Now look at the overlap of those fibers. We've got so much overlap there. So that is where we're strongest, in the mid portion. And then as we shorten even further, again, there's not much surface area contact there. So bicep curl, easy, difficult, easy. Our muscles, weak, strongest, weak again. So if we match that with the exercise, we're going to be able to lift the most weight, therefore place the most load under the muscle. There's no point in sacrificing stretch for weight or weight for stretch. I would go with heavier weight, not worry about the stretch. But do mix it in, like we did with the preacher curl. That is a stretch bias exercise, but you're not in an excessive stretch position. Next up, triceps. And trust me, we'll get back to this one, but this is not where we're starting. My new favorite tricep exercise is a seated skull crusher. So very sort of stretch bias there. Coming up, not so much tension there, but we're not in an excessive stretch. This feels absolutely insane. Go heavy again. You can also do this with an easy bar. The reason I don't is because my right and left look completely different. So I've been doing it with dumbbells, but easy bar works exactly the same. Try keep your elbows as still as possible. They can flare out a bit. And when you fail, drop down, push up, come down slowly, and just do your eccentrics, or you can come down onto your shoulders and do your modified French press, which don't let your elbows drop below your shoulders, because then it's a shoulder press. Keep your elbows up, touch the weight to the shoulders, and push up, and you will feel your triceps like nothing you've ever felt before. This is absolutely insane. I saw this from John Cena. I've started using it since I did that video on him, and yeah, absolutely mental. My new favorite tricep exercise. Triceps training again lies with anatomy. So triceps, 3 of them. We've got our long head at the back, then we've got our medial head on the inside, and then we've got our lateral head on the outside, which makes that horseshoe if your genetics are good. Now, what does this mean? Well, we've got one that we can influence because one attaches above the shoulder, so the long head. So we put it at a stretch by going up and over, and we can get it to contract more, squeeze more when our arms are behind our body. The other 2, we want to train with our arms in front of the body, so that's where we'll go to next. And my favorite variation of this is the close grip bench press. Now, to get this right, you want to grip it close, as in the name. Pushing it up, you can arch your back if you like, but you don't want your elbows or your wrists to stay above your elbows. You want to come down so that your wrists compress the elbows, and then pushing up. I'll demonstrate this with no bar so you can actually see the difference. So what you don't want to do is go down like this where your wrists are above and push up, because then that turns into a really good upper chest movement. What you want to do is compress. You see what the difference is there? You want to compress at the elbow joint, which means the triceps will be doing most of it. Exactly opposite for what you want to do on a bench press. All right, we're finally onto the mainstream, onto the cable push down. Now, I really like using a V handle that takes the wrists out, but I'd highly advise using a bar or a V handle because you will be able to push more weight. This thing's pretty much stacked out. Now, is it the heaviest stack in the world? No. Am I the strongest person in the world? No. So I can stack it out and push it. So here you want to keep your elbows still and pushing down. And don't let them drift. So you don't want your elbows drifting forward and then pulling down, so that's a great back exercise. So you lock them in and push down. Now this again is a stretch biased exercise where we're at the most tension there, which is the stretch position. But the arms are lighting up here. And when you run out of steam, do your partials, or you can now cheat it up, cheat it down, and just go slow and go well past failure. Training past failure works. So for your arms, if you want to grow them, you have to train past failure. A question I get a lot of the time is, should I bother with kickbacks? And you hear it on social media, don't do it, you have to go so light. Well, yes and no. So how often is there load under or in the triceps in a fully locked out position in any exercise that we've done? The answer is never. So why miss out on that portion of the strength curve? So in my opinion, kickbacks are a must. You will feel the long head light up because your elbows are behind your body, so they are a must do. And again, you can swap this out for any equivalent exercise for both biceps and triceps. Go watch the video I'll link after this, which will give you unlimited options as well as go deep dive into the anatomy. And again, you don't have to go super light for this. My favorite is like a chest supported position. So lying on a bench, knees on the seat, elbows behind the body and straighten out. Now you don't have to come all the way up because that's a bicep curl, but what you can do is just go down to halfway there, back up, hold for a split second and control back down. And straight away, even on the first rep with a relatively light weight, I can feel my triceps almost wanting to go into that cramp. So in my opinion, this is a must include, either this or the cable variant. Oh, I absolutely love it. And again, you can go past failure and then cheat the weights up a bit and just try to hold them there as long as you can. Guaranteed you include these in your arm training, whether you do it as an arms day or whether you do it at the end or even at the start of your push-pull legs. And I would advise doing some at the end and then on other days starting off with the arms, so actually hitting them first. That will make a huge difference. You should end up with some pretty decent arms. Now, are my arms the biggest in the world? No, but from my starting point, which you've seen at the start, they've grown a lot. So if you look at C-Bum when he was 18, he had massive arms and now he's still got massive arms. So I've gone from having noodle arms, basically looking like a barbell, to having some sort of muscle on my arms. So therefore I've grown more arms than C-Bum, right? Yeah, no, I didn't think so either. But that's the point, right? You can still look good even if you don't have insane genetics. And in this pose, we can sort of see the next muscle I'm going to be on about when looking at growing your arms. You can also see it in this pose. So there's an illusion here. The next muscle you have to hit is your delts, and especially your lateral delts. Now, I've put a full video on ways to hit this muscle better than I've ever seen before, and that'll be the other video linked at the end of this one. Right, we'll do a quick physique update. So the arms, definitely bigger than I was, and I'm actually quite a bit leaner too. We are still 2 months to go on the cut, so feeling pretty lean. The lighting here is not ideal, but it's not terrible. Back hopefully looking all right. I can't actually see that because there's no mirror that side, but abs are definitely feeling fairly lean. Go and give these exercises a go. These are the exercises I'm currently using to build up my arms, and they are working really, really well. I do swap them out, so go watch those videos that'll be linked here and here where you can chop and choose between the exercises that you want to use or that your gym has. Ultimately, there's no difference in the exercise. Just make sure you're hitting the triceps in all 3 ways and the biceps in all 3 ways, and you will not go wrong.